I'm excited here to have Jonathan Fodera with Sprout Lending here on the Championship Leadership Podcast. Thanks, Jonathan, again here for being here with us today.
Absolutely, man. My honor, and thank you for inviting me.
You bet. Yeah, so I just said Billy out last week, and now you this week, and of course we all. Well, it's the first time I met both of you in person. We've met online through Facebook and a lot of the different groups that we're tied to together. But it was just really great in the Bahamas and have that trip to get to know you guys. So yeah, thanks for being here.
Yeah, it was a great trip. You know, anytime you can network like that, there's a lot to learn from people. So it was really great meeting and networking with all you guys.
Yeah, it was the biggest takeaway, the biggest most powerful piece of it was definitely the connections and the network. So one of the things I like to start off with on the Championship Leadership Podcast is to ask you just that, like when you hear championship leadership, what are some of the things that come to mind for you? Like, what do you think, what does that mean to you when you hear that?
So when I hear that, you know, I have a background in sports, so I go to sports, but since I've been running my own company now for a long time, there's so much of that translates into everyday life and running a successful company, right? Because at the end of the day, it all falls on the leader, and anybody can improve as a leader. So it's so important these days to, you know, understand what that role is and what your responsibilities are and how to get the most out of people.
Yeah. What's your sports background? You said you had a sports background?
Ice hockey.
Ice hockey.
Yep. Right. Played that for a while and at a pretty high level, and there's a lot of it that translates. So much of it, I think, sports translates and transcends into business and just work and who you are as a person.
Yeah, I agree. Being in Minnesota here, it's hockey is life. Like, I grew up in northern Wisconsin, and you'd think it would be the same, but it's not really compared to here in Minnesota. Like,
yeah,
even die their hockey around here.
Yep.
Yeah. Where did you grow up?
I've always been in New York.
Okay.
You know, so playing hockey is, I don't want to say unusual, but it's not one of the main sports that people play. Mainly it's lacrosse or football or basketball.
Yeah.
Just the cost is very prohibitive in New York to play ice hockey. Yeah. I was blessed that, you know, growing up, my parents put me through it. It was really the only sport I truly fell in love with, based on the fact that you could hit people. There's so much skill involved. It was great. Like, I loved that every second of it. I still play.
Do you really?
Yep. Twice a week.
That's great. So, yeah, how high of a level did you end up playing at?
I was supposed to go play in juniors in Canada, which is pretty high, and then I got hurt. You know, I blew out my knee. I had a bunch of concussions. Yeah. Stopped for about 2 or 3 years, and then I just picked it up again as a coach. And then from coaching, I'm like, you know what? I miss it. I want to play again. And then I started playing in men's leagues.
Got it. Yeah, juniors in Canada, that's serious hockey, that's for sure. So, well, let's talk about that. You know, whether that was in your hockey playing career or whether, you know, it was on the journey that took you to where you are today. You know, who are some of those leaders in your life, whether it was coaches or what have you, or mentors, that you've really learned from to help you get where you're at today?
That's a great question, right? And I think there's 2 types of leaders you can learn from. All right. Really good leaders and really bad leaders. And I think it's important to learn from each of them equally. All right. So coaching, it was more the trainers, right? So I always had high-level trainers that I would go and take power skating lessons with. And, you know, putting in all that work at such an early age, like before school, after school, doing off-ice training, you know, that helped me, and it kind of set me in having a certain work ethic. So that was great. And then in business, I would say Ryan Stillman has helped me out tremendously in terms of being a mentor and a coach. I have not, you know, I've also ran into a lot of bad leaders. And when you see bad leaders, inevitably when you uncover the company, you see a lot of problems. And they don't realize that those problems are caused by them, you know. And at one point, and I still don't think I'm a good leader, right? I know it's something I'm working on. I know it's something I can improve on. I do know I'm better than I was 5 years ago. You know,
Mhm. Yeah. So what's it's leadership. I think it's definitely, like you said, it's one of those things where you can absolutely become better. There's sometimes a conversation around, leaders are born, not made, but which I think is true. Right? Some people are just inherently great leaders, but I absolutely think that you can become a great leader if it's really something that's important to you and that you focus on and continue to grow into, definitely through experience and time and everything else. Um, what what are some of the biggest characteristics, or maybe what are some of the things that you see for yourself? And you just talked about how you don't see yourself as a good leader. But yeah, what are some of those characteristics that are really, forefront in your mind as you lead your team in your business?
well, I think there's a lot of different aspects at play, right? So one is when you're a good leader, you have to know when to push and when to back off, right? So if you read Extreme Ownership, I'm sure you have, and then Dichotomies of Leadership, after reading those books, I realized that there was a lot of things that I could correct or I could improve on and do better. Another thing is how to motivate your team. And some people need to be pushed, some people need to be pulled, some people need to be left alone, right? Some people need a little bit of coaching, some people need a lot of coaching. The key is to understand what's going to motivate and drive each member of your team, figuring out where their strengths lie, how you can, uh, basically enhance their strengths while working on their weaknesses at the same time. Okay. And so that, especially in the model that I have, where I have a lot of outside agents, it's not always the easiest thing to identify where people are strong or weak. It usually takes some time. Okay. And that's just human life. I'm not with them every day. But if I was with them every day, you pick up on things, you pick up on habits, you pick up on why people aren't doing what they need to be doing, or they're not as successful as they want to be. And then you can work with them once you understand what characteristics may or may not be driving them the way they're being driven.
Yeah, that's a great point that you bring it up. Basically, a great leader, a championship leader, will definitely realize that you can't coach everyone the same, right? I think of Bill Belichick and Nick Saban. They're big, in the football world. They're two of the best in the NFL and inside of college. They're dominant, and they obviously know what they're doing. Championship level leaders, and
Yep.
they have to do the same thing, right? They can't coach Tom Brady the same way they coach, the guy that sits on the bench, and vice versa. And the great ones realize that and figure that out over time, just like you're saying. I'm sure they didn't have that all figured out on day one, but it can also be a challenge. It could be a challenge for someone, probably like yourself, that's like self-motivated, high performing, does a great job, and you have this tendency to think that everybody should be that way, right? Like, why can't they just figure it out? Like, why aren't they doing
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So I think that was one of the reasons why I struggled early on. I think there's different levels that you go through in life and in stages in your career. So early on, I was a rock star and I got promoted very quickly. And during those promotions, I would have more and more people working under me. Now, like you said, you expect everybody to work like you. And when they don't, you'd get frustrated, and a bad leader yells, kicks, and screams.
Yeah.
They don't understand. So that's why I said, 5 years ago, I'm not where I am today. Okay. I was always a leader, when I played sports or doing this, you lead by example. Okay. But that doesn't work for everybody. So the biggest thing is finding out who's on your team, their strengths, their weaknesses, and how to motivate them and how to get the best out of them. And if you can do that, you can consistently build really strong, great teams that will hopefully run one day with minimal involvement on your end. If you are training the guy underneath you to take your job and lead the team, you already have the right mindset. And a lot of people are afraid to do that. It's a abundance mindset versus a scarcity mindset. if you are training somebody that, will be able to run and be in your shoes, that will allow you to build 2 or 3 more people just like him and expand the team and win even further versus, oh, well, if I train somebody and he's as good as me, well, then I'm irrelevant.
Yeah, 100%, right? Yeah, you hit it. And we've talked about that a few times on this podcast and previous episodes of, there's a scarcity of leaders out there that they don't want to pull anyone up because they're afraid that like they're going to take their position or they're going to overtake them. And it's just that scarcity mindset versus being this abundant thought process of, hey, I'm going to lift everyone else around me because number one, it's going to force me to rise at the same time, right?
Yep.
Also, it's just going to help you get to where you want to go faster so that you can, stop doing some of the things that maybe you shouldn't be in order to get to that level, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, talk to us, what do you do and explain your team a little bit. You've already kind of touched on the fact that you have a lot of remote workers, but yeah, let us know, what you do and kind of how you got there.
Okay. Well, I own Sprout Lending. We are a full service marketplace that handles all types of business financing, whether it's lines of credit, equipment financing, alternative financing, SBA loans, term loans, invoice factoring, you name it. And we have the network to help facilitate that. And we do it quickly and easily, a lot easier than going to a bank. And for the longest time, I had a model that I would have inside sales guys on a salary, and it was frustrating, right? So what I did was I joined up with Ryan to make a course called Capital Gains. And the course teaches people how to, work in this space. It teaches them about all the programs, about the selling and funding process. And then what happens is people sign up for that. They usually go through the course 2 or 3 times. They get added to the private group. And then, we set up a strategy call. And on that strategy call, what I'm doing is trying to see if they're a fit to work in my advisor program. And the advisor program, basically, these people become an extension of Sprout. Okay. They have the email, CRM. They understand how to generate leads, and we can give them leads. And they have our processing on our network. And then they help individual business owners get financing. And I think that has been very, very successful. And it's been growing at a very rapid rate to the point where I want to take over this industry. And the reason why I made Capital Gains wasn't because of what I just said. It was because I've ran direct sales for lenders. I've ran business development for lenders. I've owned my own brokerages. And it seemed to be on each side of that, whether it's a certain lender or it's certain brokers, right, that originate business and send to lenders, there was always some level of corruption. Somebody was lying to a client. Somebody was stealing somebody else's client. And I wanted to do away with all that. There is way too much money to be made in this space where people have to have that scarcity mindset. So I figured if I came up with a program that teach people how to do it the right way, and then I feel like they are the right fit, I can hook them into the network. They can be very, very successful. 5 months, somebody made $150,000 in that program. Just last month, 2 people brought in $62,000 net to them. And I love paying out big commissions. The fact that I have to pay out, $95,000 or $96,000 this Friday, you know what? I'm excited. I'm happy that these people are winning because we're winning too, And the best part is the clients are getting good service and they're getting treated fairly and the right way. And they don't have to go through all these people that tend to have not the best business practice, right? Mm-hmm. So that's why I did it. And it's a new level of stress, but they're all quality problems. And, it's a really good team. It's a close-knit group. And a lot of really great people in there. So I couldn't be more impressed and proud of how this group has turned out so far. And I'm really looking ahead to 2019 to see, how much bigger we get.
Yeah, that's, it's championship leaders. We talk about it all the time, right? They have the vision to create something like that. They have a vision that most others don't, or or maybe it's not just having the vision that others don't. Maybe it's having the vision, then the willingness to actually take the action, right? To move on it, to
Absolutely
implement it. And then even to partner up with someone like Ryan Stillman, again, you go back to this scarcity versus abundant mindset, and partnering with the right people so that you can help more people, and everybody wins in the end. Like I said, you want to be writing those big checks, because that means that you're winning too, obviously.
Yeah, that's it. And like you said, there's people that can plan, there's people that can take action. If you can take action, not plan, it's going to take you a while to get there, but eventually you will get there. If you're one of those guys that plan and you don't take action, which is unfortunately the majority of people in today's society, it doesn't matter how good the plan is. Think about it. You ever have like $1 million idea when you're in the shower? You're like, oh, I'm going to write this down. I'm going to work on it. I know everybody at one point has had that $1 million idea. Like that light bulb just clicks. You don't write it down, nothing happens with it. Well, you forget it, and somebody else picks it up and creates Uber, 2-3 years later.
Yeah, and they're sitting there like, oh man, I thought about that.
That's it.
Yeah, that's right. I love it. Yeah, you can. What do they say? A poor plan executed will beat a perfect plan not executed all day long, right?
Absolutely. Another one I like right there is will beat skill when skill isn't willful, or something along those lines, right? It's not good enough just to be skilled. You have to have the will to fight through it. And there's not one thing in this life that is going to be easy or smooth that is worth doing, ever. And people have to understand that. There is struggle. It doesn't matter. What kills me today is looking at certain posts on Facebook. I feel like everybody drives a Ferrari or a Maserati or something. And, it's just, you have to be able to put in the work. You're going to have ups, you're going to have downs. Like I've had more downs than ups. It's just, you got to get back up and get back on the horse and, continue to improve. And if you improve a little bit every day, and that's what I love about Ryan's training, to be honest with you, you get video after video after video. You can review, implement, and you know what? You're going to mess up. I mess up all the time. But it's about getting back up, correcting it, and fixing it,
Yeah, we say to our clients all the time, it's like progress, not perfection. If you sit there and wait for it to be perfect, those are the people that never take action. And if you're talking about it, it's just like, I'm just going to go, I'm going to ship, I'm going to take action. Like if it doesn't work, I'm going to figure it out, I'm going to learn from it, and I'm going to keep moving forward. So yeah, love it.
Fail forward. I mean, think about that. That's I tried 3 or 4 different business models. They didn't work out. I had partners steal from me in the past. It didn't work out. But each bad experience I had, I learned from. I mean, I think you learn more, and you tell me what you think, but going through the tough times, it makes you a different type of person, right? Going through the challenges and the adversity makes you a different type of person. And as long as you're learning from each one of those experiences, you will always wind up on top. Yeah,
100%, man. Yeah, for sure. Like it steals you, right? It hardens you. Like you said, if you're willing to be open to learn from it, absolutely 100%. Like now you're like battle tested, they say, right?
Yeah,
you're battle tested, man. You've been through the fire a little bit. So
and think about this. I mean, would you rather partner with somebody or do business with somebody that is completely battle tested and has good character and that you can rely on, or you want to take a chance with somebody that's just flaunting a Ferrari and some crazy $50,000 watch? It's just, for me, I think character is important, and especially when we're talking about leadership, people can tell, people know, if you care or not, and that's a big thing. Is if you're going to be a good leader, there has to be empathy for the team, and you have to know when to care and give them a hug, and you have to know when to kick them in the ass too.
Yep. Yeah, they can tell right away, right? I mean, people, you're constantly communicating a message, like without saying anything all of the time, right? And those first impressions are just, you know, the genuineness that you're talking about, or, you know, are you being real, authentic, or are you just trying to manipulate them to get them to do something that you want, right? There's a huge difference, and people are feeding off that all the time. And yeah, so you hit that right on the head for sure.
Yep.
What, you know, think to a time in your life, because there's, inside of being a great leader, inside of this path to being a championship leader, there's always moments or many moments, you know, we're kind of talking about this a little bit, but often when I ask this question, there's usually at least one thing that pops up in everyone's mind of a time in their life where, you know, it's just this big turning point, right? Where most people will choose to go left, and the championship leaders, again, they're willing to go a different direction, the path that's less traveled, that no one else is willing to take. And so is there a time where, you know, you could have very easily went the way everybody else is going, and you wouldn't be where you are today? You might be doing something completely different. You might be working, I don't know, for the man, I guess you'd say, or doing something completely different versus where you're at today. Is there something in your life where you can look back to?
There's actually 4 of them, and I don't mean to take up too much time, but
yeah, let's hear it.
I distinctly remember each of them. So every time that I had one of those moments, it was after I was really royally screwed, right? I was working in business development and sales for one of the lenders. They decided I was making too much money, cut the commission, you know, cut my, my agreement in half, right? I left, started a brokerage with people I thought were trustworthy. Build that up for them, only to find out one of them's embezzling about $500,000 over the course of a year. I was on a profit sharing deal. It was in the banks. I don't see it. Left again, went back to a different lender, promised the world, running direct sales, equity. I set everything up. Right when the equity is about to vest, they have this acquisition. Somebody else comes over, takes over the board. Again, shut out, you know. They let go of me and my entire team. And then last but not least, I ran direct sales for another lender, and got called in 2 or 3 times to be told I'm making too much money, which is insulting, because when you're being told that, if I'm making that money, you're making that money too.
Yeah, right.
And I got a lawyer involved. I left, and then basically I started Sprout, and then I got the idea for capital gains, and never look back. And I wanted people to understand that I understand that position. All right. It is risky to branch out on your own and do it. It's not easy. There's going to be days you doubt yourself, more so than days that you think you're on top of the world. I promise you that. But the difference is, whatever you do, your destiny is in your own hands, versus working for somebody else that can just flip a switch, change your lead source, change your commission structure, your pay plan, and basically devastate you, because I was at a point when I was younger, I didn't really have kids. I got a kid. I have 2 kids, beautiful wife, and, I can't afford to not be successful. All right. And I don't ever want to put that in anybody else's hands but mine again. And that's what I tell my team too. I mean, I'm going to give you guys all the tools. I'm going to help you as much as I can. And at the end of the day, it's going to be up to you. If you put in the work and train and do what you need to do, you'll be successful, just like anything else in life.
Right.
So, yeah.
Yeah. So that's pretty incredible, because it's like you continue to get burned and burned and burned. And it's like, what were people from the outside saying?
I had a few good ones. Like, why are you still in that industry?
Yeah.
Why are you building other people's, dreams? Things like that. I was young when it was happening. Some of it was just me being naive, not having the right agreements in place. Some of it was not wanting to take people to court. You live and you learn. I was just too stubborn, and I knew I was really good at this, and I enjoyed doing this. Like, when you help a business owner get financing, and you change the structure of their business, or you help them with processing, basically we can go into a business, revamp it, and make it crank and run much better, and basically coach them through the whole process. When you do that, that's very rewarding. Besides what you can make, I mean, I feel good about that. I have one client I've had for probably 6 years. When he came to me, he was doing about $150,000 a month. I've given him probably close to $2 million over those 5 years. And now he's doing 600, 700K a month. He sends me a birthday card. So those stories are really why I do it. And now teaching other people to do that exact same thing has been very rewarding, and humbling. And I know that there's always stuff I can work on. I'm not perfect. I don't pretend to be. That's why I read those books. I probably try and read about 1 book or 2 books a month, some level of self-development, right? And if you do that, you might not be a rock star, but you'll be consistently improving to the point where you become that rock star.
Yeah, that's great. It's the path of a championship leader right there for sure is just, continue to get knocked down. And obviously you knew what you wanted and really weren't going to get stopped until you arrived. And all of those were just, I'm sure you look back now, it's just like, those are just stepping stones that you had to take to go through the process to figure it out, to learn what worked and what didn't, and who you could trust and who you couldn't, and to get to where you wanted to finally be here. And that's not definitely not easy, especially once or twice, maybe now 3, third time, the 4th time, it's like, oh man, I don't know.
They're definitely gut checks in life. And, you have 2 choices, get back up or find something else and do something else. And I think part of it is I'm too stupid to quit. I'll take a beat and keep going and, just figure it out along the way. And, as I've gotten older and had different coaches and mentors, when you actually listen to their message and what they teach, that's really been instrumental in my development and my ability to lead and my ability to help other people. Because without that, without having coaches and mentors, it takes a lot longer to figure out. And if you could pay for the shortcuts, learning those shortcuts sooner is always a better investment than waiting or learning or struggling or not changing a situation. I might have stayed in the same industry, but every single time I changed a situation. And if you don't change the situation when it doesn't fit you anymore, you're just going to have more pain and more suffering.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I've always said that's a strength of mine. Like, I'm just too dumb to quit. Like, I'm too stubborn to stop. I just don't know any better. I just keep moving forward. So when you said that, that's.
Well, man, you ran 200 miles.
Yeah, I'm going to. I ran 100 miles. Yeah.
Oh, 100.
Yeah. Next up is 200. Yeah.
I don't think I've ran 100 miles in my life. My body hurts just thinking of it.
Yeah. That's awesome. So, and then, to the other point of, like, even NFL coaches, I always go back to sports too, right? Even Bill Belichick and Nick Saban, like, they are constantly talking to other coaches and they're always trying to get better. And it's like, really, you think everybody would be coming to them? But no, like, they're out there, they're never settling. They're always trying to grow. Like you said, when I invested in coaches myself is when my life really radically changed in a hurry. Like you said, I mean, things you don't know that you don't know, and why go through all these pitfalls and these bumps in the road if you don't have to? Like, that's still going to happen, but why not take advantage of the experiences of those that have already been where you want to go? So that's
exactly. And then the other thing is the network, right? If you can tap into a network like we tapped into, you can actually not only just learn from the coach, but learn from others in that group.
Yes.
The only time you don't learn is when you're not humble enough. I go into every meeting pretending I know nothing, and try and pick up as much as I humanly can. Like, it really helps. So, having the right network and the right mentors is and will be and can be the difference between success and failure.
Yep. Yeah. I love it. Well, I can't agree more. So, with that in mind, I want to wrap it up by asking you a few last questions here.
Okay.
For you, we talked about vision a little bit. What's the biggest thing for you 5 years from now? Like, where do you see yourself, not maybe just in your business, but inside of your reach and impact that you make and who you want to be as a leader? Like, where do you see that going in the next 5 years?
You know, I map things out by 1 year increments, but I'm going to just go out and try and do a 5 year for you.
Okay.
If I could get 3,000, 4,000 people in that advisor program, lead them, teach them how to have very, very successful careers, and work with us at Sprout, I would be thrilled. You know, that means a lot to me because it means we're helping more entrepreneurs and business owners the right way. And we're taking guys that were in sales, that are just good people, that have never been able to control their destiny, and basically give them the keys to a Ferrari and let them run with it. You know, not a literal Ferrari, it could be, but, you know, a figurative Ferrari.
Right.
And, you know, give others the opportunity that I never had. I mean, I when I designed this thing, I was thinking, hey, what would I have wanted 10 years ago? What would have really changed my entire life? And I look at it, and if I had this, my earning trajectory would have been through the roof, versus, you know, having all those bumps and bruises along the way. Now, I don't know if I would change it because, again, those molded me into the person I am today. So that's the business side. The family side, I want to have my third kid. Well, my wife really wants to have a third kid. I agreed. Happy wife, happy life.
Yeah.
So yeah, that probably move down to Delray Beach. That'll happen. I invest in a lot of multifamily properties. So if I could pick up in the next 5 years, 5 to 7 of them, that would be great. And I want to be working because I want to work. I don't want to work because I have to work. I want it to be structured where I'm helping other people and helping build other people's dreams, and know that I'm okay one way or the other. I think that's a big goal for me. And then I want to be able to take a step and spend more time with my family and my kids. You know, that's a big one too. You know, a lot of times people get caught up, and I'm guilty of it. You know, you're always caught up on the next thing and making sure everybody else is taken care of. Sometimes, you know, you don't get to do everything that you want to do or that you should do. So when you're in a growth phase, that's usually the case. When you're, you know, pushing and growing and still scaling and creating everything that's going to be automated, that takes a lot of work, a lot of expenditure, both time and capital, right? So, you know, once we get through that, it'd be nice to, you know, not just hang out with my kids and my family on the weekend.
Yeah.
You know,
I love it. That's a great vision. And no doubt in my mind that'll happen. And yeah, we got 3 kids, and three's great. So
how old are they?
10, 6, and they're 10, 8, and 6.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Yeah. So they're pretty evenly
Spaced out.
And you know, when you get through that diaper phase and they start walking around, becoming a little more self-sufficient,
Yep.
You too. But yeah, it's 3's been really good. So 2's great too.
Yeah. I mean, it's great once they're out of that diaper phase. I feel bad saying it. Some people love it. And then some people like get me out of it. I'm done. I'm probably more the later, although the second time around, I've learned to enjoy it a little bit more.
Yeah.
You know that you might have a blowout diaper or you might get puke in your mouth.
That's right.
You know, you just turn the other way.
Yeah.
But now, like, with my oldest being 4 and the other one being, you know, 9 months, it's much easier to bond with the 4-year-old and play sports with the 4-year-old. So I'm really enjoying that age, and I think it'll only get better.
Yeah.
Until you're not cool anymore, right? Like,
oh, right. Yeah. And then that phase, that's like, I'm not quite there with my 10-year-old, but I'm getting ready for it. I know it's going to it'll be a hard one, but you know, it's part of that's we did the same thing, right? So,
yep. And then when they're 20, 22, they love you again.
Yeah, exactly. Then they're like, man, you were right.
Yep.
The cycle of life. It's beautiful. Well, cool, man. I really appreciate you being here and taking the time out of your busy life to do this.
Absolutely. I appreciate you having me here.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll have to do it again too. But how can our listeners get a hold of you? Like, yeah, what do you got going on? How can they find more info about you and what you do and all that?
Well, first they could text the word Sprout, SPROUT, to 36260. That'll be our mobile app.
Okay.
They can email me at jfodera, Fodera, at Sprout Lending, or find me on Facebook, Jonathan Fodera, and connect with me there. We have an Instagram, Sprout_lending. So any one of those ways, all of those ways would be perfect. And I look forward to connecting with everybody.
Yeah. What about the capital gains? How could they find out about that?
That is under the Break Free Academy umbrella.
Okay.
So if you go to breakfreeacademy.com,
Yep.
You'll see under our programs, it should be, it's called Capital Gains.
Capital
They can
gains.
go there, purchase that, go through the program, and then, we'll hop on a strategy call and see if the advisor program is a great fit for you.
Awesome. Yeah, we'll put those in the show notes for you as well. Yeah, thanks, John. I really appreciate you being here, man.
Well, thanks for having me.
You bet.
Take care, Nate.
All right.